All right, hi guys. We're going to do a deep dive video today on some of the Old Testament origins of the kingdom of God, which we know was Jesus's favorite subject. So let's go to Daniel chapter 2, okay? Daniel chapter 2. And this is the first instance of the kingdom of God we're going to see, and it's a pretty powerful prophecy. Actually, it's a prophetic interpretation of a dream that King Nebuchadnezzar had. So go over to Daniel 2:34 to 35. That should be on the screen now. This is Daniel speaking to Nebuchadnezzar about his dream. You were looking on until a stone was chiseled out, not by hands. And really what that is saying is it wasn't a human stone. It's not something human. It's beyond. And it struck the statue. Now there was a statue in Nebuchadnezzar's dream of 5 different types of material. And this stone that was not carved out by human hands strikes this statue on its feet of iron and clay. And it broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold, so these 5 different materials, all at once broke into pieces. And they became like chaff from the summer threshing floor, and the wind carried them away, and any trace of them could not be found. So it's like dust. It's temporary, it's gone. But the stone that struck the statue, remember, it's not a human construct, it's not a human thing, this stone. It wasn't carved out by human hands, became a great mountain, and it filled the whole earth. Now, this stone is the first instance of the kingdom of God. And this is why, you begin to see that this stone now fills the whole earth and it grows. So the kingdom of God is going to come. It's going to defeat all kingdoms, all human kingdoms and spiritual kingdoms behind those human kingdoms. And it's going to grow and it's never going to disappear. Okay? So it is a stone not formed by human hands, so we know it's the kingdom of God, and it becomes an eternal mountain. Okay? So that's what the kingdom of God is. Let's also see this, but also mind you that all the kingdoms that are crushed are the kingdoms that currently have Jews in exile. All right? So this includes all the nations that are going to dominate and tyrannize Israel. And so what we see here is not only a prophecy about the temporariness of human kingdoms, no matter how great, but we also see a promise that God's going to return his people from exile, from the domination by these different empires, last of which being Rome. And he's going to return them from exile back into God's kingdom. And we see that prophesied in Jeremiah 31, verses 31 to 34. I'm going to read that to you. Okay? Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, not like the covenant that I made with their fathers on the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. My covenant that they broke, though I was their husband, declares the Lord. For this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares the Lord. I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And no longer shall each one teach his neighbor and each brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. So that's the promise of the return from exile into a relationship with God that is totally different than the one that happened prior to the exile. Because that depended on the nation of Israel remaining faithful and loyal to God, and they weren't. They became idolatrous and rebellious. And so what we see is that there is a kingdom that will crush the kingdoms of this earth to dust. And behind those kingdoms, and we see this from the Jewish worldview, go read Genesis 11 if you want to understand this, that each of those kingdoms outside of Israel had a spiritual overlord or overwatch. And those rebel against God's rule and become filled with pride. And so they become idolatrous nations. And it's the idolatrous power, the evil, dark power behind these nations as well, that this stone, this kingdom of God, is crushing. So not only the human kingdom, but also the spiritual kingdoms that lie behind that kingdom. So freedom from exile also equals freedom from the spiritual bondage of those dark spiritual forces. They too will be crushed. Okay, and this is accomplished in the cross. If you want to know more about this, go to Colossians chapter 2, verses 13 to 15. All right, the next video we're going to look at Daniel 7, but for now, that's enough. See you in a sec.